Okay, so this is Adamson University. As you can see, this is an announcement that we are celebrating the feast of Vincent de Paul. And this happened the eve of the feast of Vincent de Paul. In fact, the Vincentians, we planned a huge celebration because that was also the opening of the 350th year of the death of Vincent and Louise. And we had to cancel all of that. Instead, all the preparations, the food, etc., we just brought to the relief center. Those of you who have gone to Adamson, you still remember this place. This is at the entrance of the building. And as you can see, this is the day after the flooding. This is the Feast of St. Vincent, and the water has already subsided. But in another picture that I will show you, the water was still above here. Now this is the second highest building in the compound, and the water actually entered the building. Okay, so as you can see, the water entered the building. This is the oldest building of Adamson, built in around 1929. And they said that the only time they remember water entering the building was in 1967. And it was repeated this year. This was at the height of the storm, the typhoon. This is again in front of the main building. So you can see the water. This is San Marcelino Street, the street that goes to Adamson. And it was flooded. These vehicles here just broke down there in the street, and you cannot move them unless you push them. So there was traffic, people, the vehicles couldn't pass by anymore, like these two. So the water just went up more or less until here. This was already the day after the flood. See, this was the 26th, I think, the evening. So you cannot even see the first step anymore. And this is St. Teresa's, where we had the dollar from the heart, the benches here. See, the fountain. This is St. Teresa's building. There was actually a concert the day before, the 25th of September. So some of the things are still there. And this is the gymnasium. We had 1 foot of water in the gymnasium. This was the worst hit of all the buildings because we have here the flooring. This one, the wooden flooring. This was there was 1 foot of water. And this is imported from the United States. It took them 6 months to manufacture this wood. Then they shipped it to the Philippines. That was 7 years ago. And we paid something like $3 million. And now it's totally gone. When I went home the following day, this was the Feast of St. Vincent. As I stepped on the wood, water was just coming out. And this is relatively new. Even some students who were staying there, they also had water inside their rooms. The library, all the books on the ground, on the floor. Equipments, some pictures. These are pictures taken by Mar. Some of them are historical pictures. the theater. Now, the theater actually is on the second floor, but on the first floor we have 2 computer laboratories. We have the gallery at the back. All of them were flooded. And this was already the day after. And the water stayed, I think, for 3 days. This is St. Teresa's. This is the day after, because I was caught actually. My car was totally underwater. And this one was telling me where the level of water was inside the offices. This is the creek, and it overflowed. You know, so the water here went to the other side.
Wow.
Part of the wall here, you know, was damaged, so the water went to the other side. Now this man died. He is a taxi driver. He had asthma because when they found him the following day, he had an inhaler in his hand. Apparently he was a taxi driver, and then this is his taxi. It was just stalled there, and the water kept going up, and he might have died of heart attack. We don't know what happened, but in the morning they discovered him inside the car. They thought that he was sleeping, and they found that he was already dead. This is my car. You know, it's less than a month old. Didn't even have a plate because it's so new, and it was totally submerged in water. I had to go to a meeting that morning, a meeting of presidents, and they were waiting for me. There was no quorum. We had to make a decision, and they were calling me by cell phone. They said, "We are waiting for you, where are you?" And I told them, you know, we are still looking for a street where we can pass in order to go to the hotel. And we were just caught here. And I told my driver, because you know, the vehicles were turning back. I told my driver we better go to the side, because I saw that on the floor there was already water, and I had to remove my shoes. And when I opened the door, water just rushed inside. And then the two of us, we went to a store nearby, and we watched until we saw eventually the water rising up. Then the first floor was even flooded, so we went to the third floor, and we stayed there until the following day. No food, no electricity, no water. And we were there with about 50 people, you know, all strangers, and we were just amazed looking at the, you know, looking at the destruction everywhere. And then the following day, this car had to be towed. They had to push it and then get another vehicle to pull it. And these are some of the volunteers who distributed some soup. Okay, so that's what happened to Adamson.